Hello there guys, Shannon here, and I am back to basically give my own opinion a bit on fair use. This is in response to a video I saw went up last night. PyDislikers, a message to MLP YouTubers. Personally, I don't think it's just a message to MLP YouTubers. Personally, I see it as a message to most reactors more than MLP exclusively, as it's more to do with reactions than anything else. But I just wanted to give my own little headway on it, because I do agree with quite a lot of what's going on as far as what people have been saying about reactions and all that. However, I do have my own opinions and disagree with a few things floating around. So I just wanted to give my own personal opinion on the matter. If you're not a reactor and you don't want to know about fair use, this video probably isn't going to be for you, and just letting you know in advance. However, if you are considering doing reactions, just starting out, want to learn a bit more about fair use, stick around. Maybe we can learn something altogether. Because by all means, let me know your opinions in the comment section below. At least if you are going to say that reactions are not fair use, at least fucking listen to what I've got to say first before just randomly calling anything out. Because if you're not going to watch it and still talk bollocks about stuff I've clearly cleared, then it's not going to get anywhere. But yeah, first thing I've got to do is so PyDisliker put up a video yesterday about reaction videos, and he said himself, Brony Monster, and 8 Feet was apparently talking and decided to contact a number of different content creators and ask for their permission to use their stuff, and have actually set up a Google document to show who is okay with reaction videos, who is not okay with reaction videos, and a bit more into it, like who, what they specify they're okay with and what they specify they're not okay with. And they're hoping to get this list so big that eventually they'll have like a search feature where you just type in a person's name. They're going to try and get loads of people for this. I will leave a link to it in the description, because I do think it's a good idea, especially if you are just starting out and you don't want to take too many chances on your own, because that can always be a thing that turns people away, is when they do something and then they get hit with copyright and they don't know why, because they thought it was okay. So this list would be definitely a very good guide to people starting out, seeing what people they can trust not to take their content down. And I'm just going to name off a few that I've seen here. Like they've got 3 categories at the moment. People who are okay with monetized reactions, people who are okay with non-monetized reactions, and people who are not okay with reactions. And I'll get to that part very soon, because through fair use, I disagree with that category entirely. But yeah, for example, on here, what I can see at the moment, whether their opinions will change in the future, because obviously, let's face it, fair use is more opinion-baited than actual law at this point, because people will preach fair use until it's not okay for them, and then if they, I've seen it twice so far, where someone has actually put about how it's their content was affected by fair use, and then a reactor did a reaction to one of their videos and instantly fucking claimed it and said it was against fair use. So it seems to be more along the lines that people are just using fair use when it benefits them. They're not actually following the law as it would state. But to be fair, fair use is very vague, and I will be going into that as well. But yeah, just to give an example, you've got people like Minty Root, who's okay with monetized reactions. I'm just going to name off people I actually know. You've got Wubcake, who says that they're not okay with reactions straight out. You've got people, Crown Prince, who said he's okay with non-monetized reactions. You've got then, let's have a look, who else do I know after this? You've got Tiara Y, who does not like people reacting to their content full stop. Then you've got Mr. Ponynator, who is okay with audio only monetized, hasn't put anything for non-monetized, which is a little weird, and he is not okay with a full video being used. Then you've got EdPlus777, who is okay with monetized and non-monetized, which I respect. That he says that either he doesn't mind. I like that. Great respect out to him. Who else in this list? It seems to be only about 4 people in this list so far are not. That's Mr. Poninator, TROY, Wubcake, and Medi Excalibur 2012. I don't know that last one. The other 3 I do know. I actually watch quite a lot of their content every now and then. But actually I had a few reactions, so 1 or 2 of theirs lined up, so this is going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, okay. Let's get into a bit more on fair use, because I think in order to properly explain my different factors and everything, I go off of a website known as fairusetube.org, and I'll leave a link to the description. Leave a link in the description to what I'm actually going to be quoting from, so you can go and have a read. The guy who runs it is a fantastic person that's helped me many times get rid of copyright strikes and third-party content claims. He knows a lot about the fair use system and how bullshit it is. But yeah, so let's look at the factors to what makes a video fair use. First off, you've got, obviously, it needs to be, is it commercial or non-commercial? Meaning, do you make money or do you not make money off of it? Of course, a non-commercial, non-monetized, basically, video is going to be more fair use than a monetized video. That is just a simple fact, mainly due to market and licensing fees and licensing material, which, again, you don't have to... which is not a massive factor, to be honest. It actually states in here that it does not necessarily mean that a monetized video is not fair use. However, it will be harder to provide proof in a court of law. It still can be fair use completely. So that's not the biggest factor when it comes to fair use. In fact, that's probably the one that I would say is just the most straightforward, easy enough to follow. Obviously, if you're gonna try and make money off of it, there's always going to be issues. There's always going to be issues. If you're gonna try not making any money off of it, then obviously it's going to be more fair use. As simple as that. That is not going to change anytime soon, and I don't think it'll change ever. Then we've got transformative in nature. You have to make sure that whatever you're doing, if you're using a person's clips or audio, it has to be transformative in nature. And basically what transformative means is that you have to alter the original. Alter the original work. Even if this does not necessarily alter the original in substance, you have to add something new to it in order for it to be considered transformative. And I believe reactions do this. I'm not going to state that, yes, it's 100%, because fair use is a very interesting topic, and I can't be 100% sure on a court of law. This is literally me quoting off of the law itself and what I believe reactions fall under. So don't just take my word as like, fucking, yeah, that's 100% correct, because you can guarantee there are going to be people out there who will disagree, and I'd love to get into a conversation about why they disagree and all that. And it's a good one to have a discussion over, definitely, but let me get back into this. So, like I said, in order for something to be considered transformative, you have to alter it in some form or way. I believe reaction videos do this, as we've seen. Not only do we make the image smaller, like in the top left-hand corner, or small in the center. Basically, it's a personal preference about where anybody puts it. A lot of people then use webcams, and those who sometimes don't use webcams, but a background picture. But the biggest one is the commentary. And this one, I agree with a lot of what people have been saying about, mainly, I think PyDisliker brought this up when he was doing a podcast with, I think it was Master Max and Ratchetness, about people being more active in their videos, making their presence more known. I do agree with that, because there are a few reactors out there who do pretty much say nothing throughout the entire reaction and then wait till the end to talk about it and all that. If you're not making yourself really known, because I know sometimes it is hard, especially when something leaves you stunned or gobsmacked, that you that words, there's just like no words to describe it. You still have to try and make yourself at least, what's the correct word to use? You at least have to try and make yourself, what is the correct word to use for this? I guess the only word that's going to my mind is known for some reason. Like, you have to make yourself known in the video, otherwise there's really no point in doing a reaction. Because if you're not going to be active throughout it, it's not really a good reaction, I guess. I'm not going to really say much into that, mainly because I can't think of the words to use. But yeah, obviously the more I think you're talking, the more you're laughing, the more you're enjoying yourself, just having a good time. If you're making yourself more known or seen throughout the video, I think a lot of people would prefer that, and obviously it would make it a lot more of a decent argument when it comes to fair use, because you're making it more transformative, which I believe a lot of reactors do. Like, you've got people like Blasphemous HD, Ratchetness, I'm going to probably get his name wrong, I always fucking pronounce it wrong, Brony Burning Axe. I'm just going to name off a few others that definitely 8 Feet, Brony Monster, Master Max, Pydisliker. All of them do tend to make themselves known throughout their videos because they are very talkative about what's going on. They'll occasionally stop the video. Again, I think that's more personal preference. It's not required. But yeah, they're definitely making themselves more known, making their videos more transformative. So, like I said, as long as you're making the video transformative, that falls under fair use as well. So we're going to move on to the next part. Oh, God. Moving on to the next part, the amount and... Actually, I'm going to leave that to the last because that is the one that I have a moral grey area over. Okay, moving on to this part. The effect of the potential market of the copyrighted work. Basically meaning, does your video negatively affect the market of the original? And personally, I don't see anyone's review, reaction, gameplay review, anything on YouTube to really affect the market of the original work, because everyone has their own fucking opinion. We're not drones. So basically, it's not like, for example, if I hated on a certain creator's video, which is very unlikely because I'm very fucking easily amused, and it's basically my opinion on a video is not really going to matter massively to people going and watching that video. People are going to decide beforehand or decide during the video whether they like it or not. They're going to obviously decide as well during the video whether they like my reaction or not, and that's an entirely different thing. For example, I'm a big fan of Sonic 06 the game, and I can guarantee majority of people straight away are going to be fucking going, no, not that game, it's so broken. But that's my opinion, despite... Stop that. Sorry, just something scratching against my mic. But yeah, again, like I was saying, despite what my view or point of this is, people have their own opinions about things. People will actually go back and watch the original as well, I do believe, to make their own opinions on it, because obviously when talking over videos or laughing, reactors do miss the occasional joke, reference. Hell, people have pointed out to me in many videos in comments where I've like, oh, you missed this or you didn't understand this, and they'll go back and rewatch it in order to find these little jokes and point them out to me. So I do not believe it affects the market of the original, because also criticisms and stuff like that is fair use as well. So you can't just take a negative person's review or commentary and say that's going to negatively affect the market of the original work. So because obviously, like I said, people have their own opinions, I believe that really any sort of reaction video is not going to negatively affect the market of the original work. That's more, I think companies would be a lot more argumentative on this, where they'll be like, oh, it's affecting toy sales or whatever, like Hasbro probably would. But they're actually been quite good with copyright, I'll be honest. Now, here's the biggest grey area of fair use, and this is the one I think gets reaction videos more hate than anything in the world. And that is the amount or proportion of the original used. Okay, I'm probably going to attempt to read this word from word, because this one is very grey, because really this comes down to personal opinion. Because my argument obviously is I do full video reactions. I don't cut out any parts that at all. That's my personal opinion, because I prefer it. I feel like I may actually, because I've quoted back before where something's happened in an earlier scene that I may not find funny or anything that I could cut out, but yet gets brought up later on, and then I'm laughing and like, oh yeah, I remember that, which people may not understand, especially if they're watching it for the first time with me. And obviously, like I said, that's more personal opinion. You do get people then who do only like clips of little bits that they are reacting to as well. So this is more opinion based, because it doesn't actually state anywhere in fair use of how much you're allowed to use. It doesn't say like no more of the original than necessary, like 75%, 50% of the original. It just says no more than is necessary, but necessary can mean different things to different people. Obviously, to the original content creators, some of them think that you could only need like this part and this part, that's the only thing necessary, whereas some people were like, well no, the whole thing is necessary. Especially with me doing reaction videos, I consider the whole video necessary to react to. That's just me. Which is why this one is more of the moral grey than anything else. Which is why this one is the one I think is going to get... Really, this one should be defined a lot more and gone into a lot more detail, because it is so vague. I don't think anything's really going to change there. I really don't think anything's going to change there. So yeah, basically to summarize on this, so you're basically this is because I've had copyright strikes before, never off of individual YouTubers though. That's something I will say. I've never gotten a strike off of a YouTuber before, which is why I'm quite confident in my knowledge of fair use, because I've dealt with companies more than YouTubers on the copyright side. I've dealt with Konami when I got 2 strikes for Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. I've dealt with Sony now 4 fucking times for Sword Art Online Abridged. I've dealt with fucking the BBC for Doctor Who. I've dealt with then as well some company claiming Sonic. I don't know why. I don't even know what the fuck they had to do with Sonic X. And who was the other one? I can't remember the other one at the moment. But I've mainly dealt with the company side more than the YouTuber side. Mainly because I do stick more to... Well, actually, I guess that's not entirely true, because abridged series are more YouTubers than companies. But obviously companies have issues with abridged series. We all know that. Fucking Team 4 Star. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged getting taken down. The fucking bastards. But yeah, I've definitely dealt with the company side a lot more. So I'm a lot more confident, because if companies are willing to back down to this, realizing that, oh right, it is fair use, then surely I'm doing something right, aren't I? I mean, that's where my way of thinking's going. I mean, if you've got people like, I've never had an issue with Hasbro. They've always been 100% just like, all right, third-party content get some money off of it, but they've never given me a strike for uploading a full reaction. Obviously, back in the day, they did obviously strike a few channels, Hasbro did, back when we were doing cropped versions, which I actually agree, because that's the one thing the BBC, when I had a strike with them, had an issue about, was the fact that it was cropped and it was the full video still up. That was their biggest concern, was the amount of video still seen. Oh, pardon me. Then with like Sword Art Online Abridged with Sony, that one, it really is just due to the intro music. I'm not really going to include that. That's just completely fine. Yu-Gi-Oh! Their arguments when uploading Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged got them taken down, because it was fair use as well. So, like I said, I must be... My thinking is I've got to be doing something right for these companies not to sue or go even further with their strikes. So, this is mainly what I write down in, because even when like YouTube recently, I think it was 2 or 3 times they flagged my channel for spam. I got that lifted within the day of noticing it, because obviously my channel is fine with copyright. It's not spam. It's nothing like that. So obviously I can't include in there non-commercial, because hell, I'll monetize it if I can. If I can't, I'm not really going to be too upset about it. It's not really a source of income. It's more of a hobby. I mean, I think almost half of the videos I have up are third-party content ID'd anyway. I don't really care. But the main thing is, obviously, the main thing I think fair use, transformative in nature, is pretty much covered by all of reactors, or most at least. Those who need to make themselves more aware, I do agree with. That's been going around. Making yourself more aware in your videos, I do agree with. And then you've got the amount of work used, the amount of the original used. That is a grey area that really needs to be looked into more. But again, that's really down to personal opinion, which is a really annoying factor. I can't really go into more on that, because that, again, like I said, it's really down to personal opinion. The law does not state well enough for it to be considered like yes or no, or this is legal, this is not legal. Then you've got if it harms the market of the original work, which, like I said, it doesn't, because it's all opinion based. People have their own opinions. People aren't fucking drones. People aren't sheep that just follow the fucking herd. So yeah, that's basically the sum of fair use, and I'll leave a link to the description of where I've been reading from and quoting from, so you can have a read yourself, have a read of some of the things. He gives some examples in here. For example, like he's got here, anime music videos, fair use, parody videos, filming yourself singing copyrighted content is questionable fair use, but still can be. It gives us stuff about movie reviews, taking clips, copyrighted films, video game walkthroughs, commentary tutorials, posting short news clips and stuff like that, podcasts, home videos. This guy has literally, fair play, he's given a fantastic load of examples with his website. And if you have any questions on his website, he does have an email address. If you do have any questions, he does get back fairly quickly, and he is very helpful. A very helpful guy he is. Let me just go back to the home page for a second. Load, you motherfucker. Yeah. His name is Patrick McKay. He's actually a licensed where is it? He's got it in here somewhere. He's actually a licensed attorney out of the School of Law in Virginia Beach, and then he actually put up this website after learning about fair use and copyright law, which is why I actually trust it, because it's coming from a decent source. And like I said, he's helped me out of many fair use situations. So I definitely, if you're definitely interested in learning more about fair use and have any questions for him, I definitely say give him an email. He's very, very, very good, and he does understand a lot about fair use. Okay, moving back on to this list. As I'm going to read off of here, if I can actually get the fucking thing to be big enough. There we go. So I'm going to just reading. This list was made by contacting each person and asking them their opinion, whether or not they are okay with people reacting to their videos. As usual, reactions should at minimum include a link to the original and an in-video mention of the channel's name. I'll admit, I do agree with that in some aspect. I think everyone should definitely include a link to the original, the name of the original, as long as it's mentioned, as long as it's there in some way, whether in the description or whether in the video, in the annotation. As long as there's some way you're putting back, letting them know where the original is, where you've got this from, and all that. I do agree with that. Again, my biggest issue is people who seem to say that they are not okay with reaction videos when they can be considered fair use. Because fair use is a law. So basically saying, oh, well, I'm not okay with reaction videos, if they're okay with the law, then you really have no say in it. It's like me saying, I'm going to go steal this because I don't believe in theft laws. Do you know where I'm coming from at, basically. You can't decide what is... We can't decide for ourselves at this point what is and isn't against the law, because fair use is a law. So we can't decide, yes, we're okay with one thing, no, we're not okay another. But like I said, the main issue is that fair use is so vague in its descriptions that it's not exactly the greatest at setting a proper yes or no answer. There's always going to be a lot of in-betweens and personal opinions about fair use that's going to cause major problems. Personally, going through, I've considered doing webcams to make my videos more fair use, because it would make my videos more fair use, and I think I am going to do that. I'm still going to be using the full of videos because I believe it is within my legal right to use the whole clip. So that's going to be fun come ahead, because, well, let's just say if Hasbro and stuff like that are perfectly okay, and on some of my test channels, I've got Sword Art Online, I've got Gurren Lagann, I've even got a few other things set unlisted that have been there for a few months that haven't been hit at all as well due to copyright. So it seems that a few companies are okay with it, and if the companies are legally okay with it, then why can't YouTube creators be okay with it? Because if companies are okay with it, then clearly it's legal for me to do so. That's my biggest thing. If companies are okay with people using their full videos, then why is it that content creators aren't? Because clearly it's got to be legal in some aspect, because otherwise companies would be like, fuck off. Let's be honest. I mean, stop me. Mention, like I said, anything you disagree with or any little things you want to put in the comment section, let's have a discussion about it. Let's see if we can actually get somewhere with this, because it just seems to be going in a big fucking circle. It really does. It really does. The only other thing that has been on my mind pretty much all day with this list, I don't want people basically looking at this list, especially if you're a new reactor, you've been informed that these people are not okay, and that could theoretically stop people trying different reactors who haven't left a yes or no answer, because like they said, they've contacted some people who haven't contacted them back. I don't want... personally, you can't be afraid to take risks, because that's really what got reaction channels noticed more than anything, is taking a risk, reacting to something and seeing what happens. I mean, that's most channels these days, is just taking a risk. So I think if people just try and go off of this list alone, people might try to do less risky reactions, which theoretically might be a good idea, but it might also stop a lot of decent potential growing. Because I mean, like I've always made a comparison between gaming and reactions, because basically they're practically the same thing, and yet one seems to be more legal than the other, despite them being pretty much the same. But yeah. But yeah, like I said, I highly recommend people do check out the list. At least it gives people a guidelines if they want to stay on a safe path of what they can and can't react to. But personally, speaking for myself, I will probably not be looking at this list very regularly and reacting to what I want to react to, because like I said, I feel it's more in my legal right. Obviously, if people do have disagreements with me, and actually if I react to something, if they have a disagreement, they're more than welcome to sit down, have a discussion with me, see if we can draw some middle line, and see if we can come to an agreement. Because the only issue that comes with fair use is, like I said, a lot of it seems to be opinion based more than actual law. Because I've seen it before where people have put up like a video of them disliking something, and then you've had the original creator either not like them, not like their reaction, not like what they've said, and take it down just because they didn't like the person, despite the fact that it was still fair use. They didn't even have like an issue of them reacting, it's just they didn't like the person. And that's just fucking stupid. Because, let's face it, if everyone did that, there would be no videos on YouTube. There wouldn't be. Ah. Well, I think I've droned on long enough about fair use. Like I said, guys, go check it out. It's a very helpful guideline if you want to stay on a safe path. But don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to try reacting to their content, because, like I said, fair use is very vague. You're not guaranteed basically anything with fair use. I mean, more than likely, you'll definitely see me in the future commenting about strikes or commenting about fair use and all that, because I can guarantee I'm going to have more. Guaranteed. It's fucking guaranteed. With some of the things I've got planned for the future for this channel, you can guarantee I'm going to be back in this situation. Guarantee it. With 100% fact. 100% fucking fact. Because I will fight this. I'm not one to give in easily, especially when it's something I believe in and actually have a strong opinion on. I am not easily swayed. I mean, when it comes to, for example, cropped videos, when all the reactors seem to switch to smaller videos, I was possibly one of the last people to switch to that, because I was very stubborn back then. I didn't know as much about fair use, and once I got in contact with Fair Use Tube, I learned that it would actually be the better option, and finally switched over. But I was fucking determined not to fucking change, and having full-size videos, I was fucking determined to. Of course, like, unfortunately, that can sometimes be a good thing, but unfortunately as well, it can also be a bad thing, because it did actually land me with a strike a genuine strike that was my fault at one point, and that was the BBC one. It's the only one I've never been able to fight and had to actually wait for it to go. It's the only one that I've actually properly received. Ugh. But yeah, Christ, that was a weird taste in that. Ugh. But anyway, like I said, guys, leave your opinions down in the comment sections if you want, about what your opinions are on Holmar, about fair use, about reactions, anything to do with this, about what I've mentioned. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And all of this was mainly more opinion based. I'll leave links to what I've been quoting from and all that in the description, so you can have a read yourself. And hopefully, let's face facts, it's going to be the same in a year's time. It's going to be the same in 5 years' time. Nothing's going to fucking change. If I'm being honest, just from looking at what's happening with fair use and everything, nothing's going to change. I don't really see anything going to change in this. I really don't. But anyway, I mean, let's face facts. Half of life is fucking up, the other half is dealing with it. Anyway, once again, guys, why am I using my phone? Fuck, that hurt. Calm the fuck down. Anyway, guys, once again, thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye!